Hello everybody, it's Vertical Sandwich, and welcome back to Let's Play Lego Harry Potter. So, in our last video we were talking about the book Annihilation, which I read the trilogy. So we were talking about the Southern Reach trilogy, really, not just the book Annihilation. But, when it comes right down to it, I mean, they're kind of connected. But basically, the long story short, you should read the Southern Reach trilogy. It's good. It's a good trilogy. Alright. So anyway. Where's this arrow pointing? It doesn't matter, really. I mean, really doesn't matter. It might. I'm not really paying attention. And I should, well... Well, that was interesting. That wasn't what I expected. At all. Okay. Alright. We made it. Alright, that's all of our house crusts. I'm a little confused about the placement of that arrow, but we're gonna run with it. See what happens. Yeah, okay, good. Alright, we got Marcus Flint, of course. Sorry, I just think that stuff's really funny. When they're like, oh, we put in all these people. Okay, Cat Hermione. Wait, doesn't somebody else have one of these books? Right? Like, can't we? Yeah. McGonagall has the Time Tuner. Wow. McGonagall's loaded up. I don't remember the name of the actress that got to play her in the movie. She was great, though. She was awesome. She was just perfect. There was a lot of that, though, right? I mean, those movies had amazing casting. Like, everything about it was amazing. They just did really good. And how risky is that, too? Like, not something like, you know, like a Dumbledore who might die or something, you know? I mean, like, that's risky, right? I mean, for any kind of series like that. Didn't Lord of the Rings have a similar thing happen? I don't remember. But I mean, it's easy enough to research, but I just don't have that information. But it's not that. It's the idea of like getting these kids when they're really young, right? And then just being like, this will be fine for however long these movies go, and no matter what the author wants to write. Because like that's the shape they're in, right? Like there were multiple movies out. Multiple award-winning movies out before the last book was written. So it was just like if J.K. Rowling had wanted to be like, or if J.K. Rowling had wanted to, or Rowling. Is it Rowling? It's a I don't even remember. I looked it up. I looked up how to pronounce her name, and now I don't remember. But if she had been like, I'm just gonna have Harry die of a heart attack on the toilet in the 7th book, they would have been stuck with that, right? Like, I mean, they would have probably scripted a different movie, but she had every right to do that. Like, and they had, you know, this franchise already set up and stuff. Or if she'd been like, I want, oh, I got Crest Collector, a trophy. If she'd been like, I want Ron to end up with his sister. Like, I know that's disgusting, but that's what I'm gonna do. Surely she could have done that in her book. And there's no way, I mean, her publisher would have revolted and stuff like that. Been like, I don't care how much money, I don't care that you're a billionaire. you know, we're not playing this out under our, you know, you need to rewrite this. And she could say no, I'm sure, and spend her own money. But it's an interesting concept, right? That they, like, went into the first movie. I mean, knowing that they could walk away, right? First movie's a flop. They don't make any more movies. But, like, knowing that if it isn't, that there's the series going on and that they're stuck with these, you know, that recasting the kids would have been genuinely hard. But, you know, I mean, like, yeah, so... And they did really well. I mean, they really lucked out. Like, the kids aged into the movies really well. Like, and the kids did a pretty good job of not going out and doing things like getting face tattoos or anything, like, being like the, you know, like Drew Barrymore or Troubled Period and stuff. Okay, we're gonna buy everything, because we can. Coming in here because we're gonna go do some bonus levels. So many Weasleys. So many Weasleys. Too many. Too many Weasleys. Isn't that like the thing that like the sorting hat and they put it on Ron and the thing it's like, oh, another Weasley. Like, it's just kind of fun. I mean, like, there are a lot of them. I do have to say, when I watched the movies and I saw the sorting hat, I was just like, oh, this is fun. Like, this is super fun. And they did a really good job of being, like, I think, you know, you could, it's weird. There's, like, an uncanny valley for fantasy. Which is a thing that I don't know that I've ever heard anybody talk about this, but it's true, right? There's an uncanny valley for fantasy. Like, Harry Potter works because it's not fairy fantasy. Like, it's kids going to school with, like, some weird fantasy stuff, like, thrown in. That, like, you know, sometimes cars fly and trees will beat you up. But, like, there's still trees, you know, and dragons. Like, and we're familiar with those things. But if things get too fantasy-ish, like, things get really weird. Right? Like, you can no longer connect to reality at all. Okay. It's sci-fi can get that way too, right? If sci-fi gets too weird and you just don't recognize the references, like every word is a made-up word for something. You know, stuff gets really strange and can be very hard to relate to. And that's a danger, because one of the issues with science fiction specifically, but also with fantasy, is that, like, fantasy, it's hard to be Lord of the Rings, right? It's hard to just do things like where you're introducing a language you made up. Like, that's very strange. Or even, like, for that, you know, for an example, that something like Star Trek, where, again, there's, like, a made-up language. Those things aside, though. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, Ron can't do the other one. But we can grab this, right? And grab this. And grab this. Okay, I'm gonna need the potion for that. So where's my last ingredient? It's like, oh, I need Ron's help. So, yeah, what was it? So what I was saying is, so, like, for those who are not familiar, the Uncanny Valley is this premise, right? That, and it refers to robotics. That there's this, that robots that don't look like people are not disturbing. But the closer a robot gets to looking like a person, like, the more disturbing they get, and it makes this, like, U shape, because it goes down, right? So they look like awkward people or broken people, and then they're most disturbing, and then as they get more human, like, eventually they get to the point where they're indistinguishable, and you can feel comfortable around them. So it's this valley of discomfort you feel with artificial humanity. That's the idea behind the Uncanny Valley. And it's the same for fantasy or science fiction, is that there's the less familiar things get, like, the harder they are to relate to, and so, yeah. Get what I'm saying? You get it? Like, I mean, you can go for these. I mean, there's, like, really great bonus. But, like, Ron's gonna kill me. Ron's gonna make it impossible to get back where I started from. Because he's Ron. So anyway. Yeah, so you can't really... So, like, the more, you know, bizarrely unlike our lives that a science fiction story is, the less, you know, we are likely to relate to it. And so if it takes place on a planet with different seasons and different languages and things like that, you know, you just go like, well, with alien species that have, you know, different concepts of time and biology and sex and relationships, and people just go like, yeah, well, okay, you made all this stuff up, but what's in it for me? And it can kind of be the same thing with fantasy, right? Is that, like, you're on these kind of different realms that aren't anything like any, you know, and you don't eat the same foods or things like that. You know, you can't put yourself in the place of... And to tell you the honest truth, I think that almost a great example of that is Avatar, right? And I'm not saying Avatar is bad, but it's way out there as far as the construction of, like, the alien species or something, right? Or if you made a movie that was completely just about the aliens from, like, the Ridley Scott series, like, the Alien movies, like, how hard that would be to relate to them. They don't have a language that we would understand. They, you know, they have acid for blood. They kill each other in moments, drop a hat. They don't seem to have much of a culture or society. You know, so there's, like, this uncanny valley for science fiction and fantasy. I'm just rambling. I'm not even, like, I'm kind of paying attention to the game and, like, talking about this uncanny valley thing. And I don't remember where I was going with this, except for the fact that, like, Harry Potter isn't very uncanny valley. Like, that was the thing. Was that all? Was that everything I wanted to say? That's why Harry Potter did well? Does this just give us access to the water? So we just go run around in this water? And of course there's one of those guys. Okay, we have to make another potion. There's a free ingredient right here. Yeah, it's really... One of the things that's really amazing is how well Dune does what it does. If you read Dune, and, you know, it's very alien. Like, it's super alien. But it just breaks that stuff apart. It just doesn't... It's not bothered by the idea that it needs to be familiar to you. It just kind of goes with, like... It really does an amazing job of being, like, as alien as possible. And still... like, you know, still within where it needs to be. So yeah, so I guess that was my point. That's why Harry Potter works really well, is because we can identify with all these kids, because they're just normal kids who just happen to have some aspects of their life that are magical. And, like, not every single thing about everything they've ever done, you know, has to be Dungeons and Dragons. And then I just got talking about an interesting concept that I, you know... But I would love to come up with a concept of, I would love to come up with an example of something that I've read where I could just be like, it was so weird that it was beyond weird. Like, it was way too weird for me, but I'm pretty flexible that way. If any of you watch my book reviews, you know from Down Below Station that I would much rather have things be too weird than too boring. Okay, so whenever we can, we like to make Hermione the strong one, because we think it's funny. Oh yeah, I remember this one. I remember these balls being a gigantic pain. Alright, there's one. We got one of them. But now how are we supposed to get in here? I mean, like I could jump off of Ron's head or something. Is there a way to raise the water level? Because it seems like there would be a way to raise the water level. I have that Build Me Up Buttercup song stuck in my head. Like... Why do you build me up, buttercup, baby, just to let me down, mess me around, and then worst of all, you never call baby when you say you will, but I love you still, I need you more than anyone, darling, you know that I have from the start, so build me up, buttercup, don't break my heart. Okay. Alright. Sorry. So I assume, don't bring out the cat. Nobody wants to meet your cat, lady. Like, I think there's like a 0% chance that we can get this. Oh yeah, we can't because it sinks. Whoa, Ron, way to zip. I like that. I want to see more of that out of you. Just go. Yeah, that's all I want. Alright, good. Good. We're getting the money from doing these levels, by the way, too. So that 3.4 million. That's going to stick with us. So we have like 6 more of these. But the upside of that is that we have everything we need to get through all of them. I think at this point. I mean, we have everything we need to get through this whole section of the level. So that's number 4. Yeah. See, he shows us the brick when we've got it. So level 5 when we come back. Bye, everybody.